is well spent. It's just
They're
like
not. I agree with that, but they're not going to win a shit with this team.
Maybe not. I think last year was probably their best
Maybe
chance.
not. You know they're not winning a shit with this team.
I don't know. They very well could. I think we talked about this, and I want to bring this up. PJ Tucker, especially in this series, is their second most important player.
I agree with the PJ Tucker.
And he was playing fantastic defense on Harden. I think the two things that PJ Tucker and Chris Paul do is they just keep the ball out of the Warriors' hands. That's what's so important in this series. So Chris Paul, even though he's not scoring or whatever, maybe he's not racking up all the assist numbers, he slows it down, he gives Harden a break, and he's able to make the right passes to keep the ball in the Rockets' hands, which if the ball is not in KD's hands, he's not scoring.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The first thing that came to my head, I was thinking about rookies that they need to get, draft picks. The draft picks they need to get. The best player that comes to my mind is Roy Hachimura for this team.
John Morant.
It's Roy Hachimura because James Harden's going to run this offense. And if you get a 4, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to be a very good defensive player, but a guy that can shoot the 3 ball and a guy that can he can fake it and he can get to the hole. He's fast. He's good. He's very good on offense. This is the guy they need. They need to trade up for him. No one's going to want Chris. The only trade piece they have is Chris Paul or PJ Tucker. They cannot lose PJ Tucker.
They're not losing
because PJ Tucker is so important to this team. He grabs every offensive rebound. He plays hard defense. He's the second most important player on this team. I agree with you. PJ Tucker's played so great this whole series. Without PJ Tucker, they're nowhere. Without PJ Tucker, it's just James Harden.
You can't give up PJ Tucker because he's the best defender. I mean, that alone, you can't give him up because then you can't defend.
No one's trading for Chris Paul at this point either.
What?
No one's going to trade for Chris Paul at this point.
No, and then you don't trade for him. You keep him around for his veteran presence.
Well, I mean, you couldn't even trade him for him. He's too expensive and he's too old.
Yeah. But I think what they need is they need someone that takes that lets James Harden rest, because James Harden, I mean, he's going to be playing. They're going to be playing a lot of Game 5s, Game 6, and Game 7s, a lot of extra games. And James Harden, I mean, what he's doing is insane. But let's be real. Away from home, it's hard to get that same production.
Yeah. I agree. You're gonna have to keep Chris Paul on the team, and then you grab a draft pick where you can afford like Roy Hachimura. Yeah, and I think that's everything you need. I think Hachimura is actually the answer to the problem. I really do believe that's the best case scenario for the Rockets.
Yeah, maybe someone who can fill in kind of that Eric Gordon role now that Eric Gordon's a starter. That guy that comes on and just tries to feast on second units. Yeah,
they need a 6-man. Yeah.
But
I think is Eric Gordon a free agent? I don't even know if Eric Gordon's a free agent. I
have no clue about it. I'll look up the Eric.
And they need Eric Gordon. If they don't have Eric Gordon, they're in trouble.
Oh yeah, of course. They have. I know they have. What's his name? Capella locked down. Oh, he's got a 4-year salary.
I don't even think Capella's.
He's a free agent in 2020.
The thing is, I don't think Capella or Eric Gordon's they can replace those guys. Is the thing. I feel like they can definitely replace those guys.
I don't know if you can replace Capella's he. Fits
you can get a guy that can rebound the ball. If you can get a guy that can rebound the ball and be big, you can replace him.
Anyways,
I don't think you're gonna get that guy in the draft, but I do believe there's free agents out there you can do that with.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to ask you, Rockets are tied 2-2 after this. They cannot win at the Warriors building. Do you see them figuring it out? Because they're going to have to steal one in Oracle.
There's no way they figure this out. There's not a chance.
So you think, yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily convinced. I think these Warriors have a lot of problems.
I agree with you. I believe the Warriors are not very good. I don't think they're a championship team. But I mean, I think they're the best team. I don't think they're a championship team.
I don't think they're a championship team. I don't think they're the best team. I think Portland would beat them.
I like Portland a lot. We'll talk about Portland later. I agree with Portland. I do agree with Portland, but I do think Golden State's the best team.
I think Houston has a real shot to beat them. They're going to have to snatch one at Oracle, and the way they're going to have to do that is James Harden's going to have an unbelievable night, They're going to have to somehow limit Kevin Durant. But as of right now, I mean, we'll see. But as of right now, this is the worst series Steph and Clay have ever had together. I mean, really, this is. And if those woes continue, they're such a beatable team. Andre Iguodala is a great defender, but he's kind of a liability on offense, especially if he's not knocking down those corner threes. And their second unit is just atrocious. Their second unit gets eaten up every day. They let Austin Rivers, look like an all-star. So I think that this Warriors team, I could see the Rockets, if they steal this Game 5, they close it out in Game 6.
I like what you're saying. Let me start with the Iguodala thing. Iguodala, he's stepped up for this team. He's hit a lot of threes. He's not a good shooter. We've talked about this. I'm like, he's traditionally a very bad shooter. He hits clutch shots. He hits the shots he needs to hit. The playoffs, he's been doing it the whole time. Even if they win Game 5, I don't think the it's Game 5. Yeah, 2-2, so Game 5, yeah. So Game 5, I just don't believe in the Rockets. I just don't. I can't. I don't know what it is. They're not good enough. I don't believe in James Harden. I think he's a great player. I just don't believe him as a playoff contender.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
He's never done it. What do you mean you wholeheartedly? He's never done it in the playoffs.
I mean, okay, they missed 27 threes in Game 7 last year. If they would have hit 2 of those, they win.
Yes, but he struggled his whole career in the playoffs. He's like the most 50% player in the playoffs.
He's clearly when he struggled. Yes, he struggled. I know that, but I'm saying he clearly is a player that is talented enough to be the number one piece on a championship-winning team. Whether he's had that team around them is a different thing. What you're saying is what? Yeah, I agree with that, but he's not your playoff guy. You need a guy in the playoffs that's going to step up for you every night. He was the guy last year. Chris Paul goes down, he gets hurt. They miss all those threes, but James Harden was the guy.
Didn't James Harden go like over a million last year?
Well, he had that bad Game 7. Other than that, he was still the guy during the playoffs. He was shut down by the Spurs.
He's done that every year, though.
What?
He's done that every year, though.
He was shut down by 2 years ago, he shut down by the Spurs. That was the last time I'm not too sure about 3 or 4 years ago. I think he's 100% changed his game because
I'm not saying that, but yeah, he was the MVP last year, and there was issues, and he's a very talented player. I know what you're saying. I'm just saying like the playoffs issues have haunted them. I'm not saying I am saying it's James Harden's fault, but it's also the whole team's fault. Because if you're the best player, you need to be the most consistent guy. You have to be there. You have to at least give your team 20. He always gives his team 20. He's always given
the series.
He's always given his team 20. I agree with that. But you can't be going like 0 for. I don't know. He had it this series. He went 0 for a lot, and he got the 20 points, and they still lost. He went from the free throw line. I know he can get to the free throw line. I'll do it, but I don't know. They don't have enough talent. They just don't.
I think they have. I think they have enough. I mean, the past couple games, they've definitely proven they can beat the Warriors. And the thing is, even if you look at the games they played in Oracle, it's not like they got blown out. It was Game 2 was 115 to 109, which came down to the stretch. The first game was 100 to 104. And I mean, you look at that, and like you said, James Harden didn't shoot that well and still managed to put up 35 in that game. I think that we haven't even seen the Rockets play their best. I don't think so. Maybe we don't see it this playoffs, but they still, I think, have another level, which we saw in that third quarter when they pushed the lead up to 17. They have that level where they're just so chaotic, and Austin Rivers can hit some shots, Eric Gordon can hit some shots, PJ Tucker hits all his corner threes, James Harden and Chris Paul kind of run the show and just cause mismatches, and then Clint Capella can finish it up.
I like what you're saying, but you could say the same thing about the Warriors on the road.
Except for right now, I'm not worried about Clay too much. I know Clay can heat up in a second, But what I've seen, I'm not worried about it. Draymond Green had some good moves today, but he's not scaring anyone offensively. He's
you're not scared about Draymond offensively.
3-point shooting.
You're not scared about
I'm
Draymond
scared of Kevin
offensively.
Durant. That's about it.
You're scared about Steph, and you're scared about KD, obviously. I think you know what Clay's gonna give you one big game of series. He's gonna give you one big game. You know that.
It better be Game 5, because if it's not, he's not going to.
It doesn't matter if it's Game 5, Game 6, or Game 7. He's gonna give you 40, and you know it. You know that. You 100% know that. Everyone knows that.
I'm saying if he doesn't give me 40 in Game 5, he's not going to get a chance to give me it in Game 7.
You think if it goes, they lose 5, it's over?
If the Warriors lose 5, it is over. I'll call it right now. The Rockets aren't losing at their home court. With the way they're playing, they figured it out. This Warriors team, the
Warriors aren't losing. No, they're just not losing to this Rockets team.
I would lean towards it being the Warriors. I don't think so. But if the Rockets make it a game, they'll have to pull out one. But if they pull one out, I don't think there's a chance they lose Game 6.
D'Antoni, James Harden, they're not winners. They're not winners. It's not happening.
But their problem has been getting to the finals. This isn't to get to the Western Conference Finals, which they've done. Both of those guys.
Okay. I know. I'm gonna ask you a question. I know what you're about to say. So I'm saying I don't think they're beating the Warriors, but they do beat the Warriors. You're saying they don't make it to the NBA championship.
I think that very much depends on Portland and Denver, because if that's a slog, you know what I mean, and in Game 7 and they tire each other out, maybe. But I still think Portland, with how hot they are and how hot Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum have been, and Enes Kanter, Enes Kanter is not scared of Clint Capella.
Obviously, he's going to dominate.
What?
He's going to dominate him.
Yeah, so I think the Trailblazers are still, right now, I would say, are the favorite. I think.
If they can beat Denver.
The Warriors are the favorite. The Warriors don't make it. I'd still put money on Trailblazers.
I understand what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. If they make it to the... Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fair enough. Let's talk about the other... unless you got anything else you want to talk about, let's talk about the Eastern Conference.
That's it. You want to go to Bucks and Celtics?
Yeah, let's talk Bucks Celtics.
All right. Bucks at the Garden. The Celtics got off to an early start, playing real well, and Giannis just said, you know what? It was the second half. He said, this is my series. Giannis said, I'm the best player in the series. I'm winning it. We're going to win this. And the Bucks manhandled them, really, in that second half. The Celtics were a sorry team. We've been seeing these problems pop up the whole year. And then we thought, well, maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll flip the switch in the playoffs. Maybe they'll, figure it out in the playoffs. And after Game 1, we're like, okay, they figured it out. No, they don't. The problems are still there. Everything we know. I think the Celtics team needs a lot of work, and they might get the chance to, because Kyrie might have just played his last game at the Garden as a Celtic.
Yes. Celtics, they're a bad team. Bucks, they're an okay team. They got a very good player, and they got a very good coach, and some good players around them. They're an okay team. I don't think they're better than the Raptors. I don't think they're better than the Sixers. But we'll see that next series.
Okay, so theoretically, because I was talking to someone about this, if the Bucks played the 76ers, who do you put on Antetokounmpo?
If the Bucks play who?
The 76ers.
You're probably going Jimmy Butler.
Someone said Jimmy Butler.
No, it's Ben Simmons. It's Ben Simmons.
I think I throw Joel Embiid on him.
No, he's not fast enough.
Okay,
he's not quick enough. He's not quick enough.
He's not quick enough. But where is Giannis going? He's going to the rack.
It's Ben Simmons. You're throwing Ben Simmons on him.
But then Giannis would play on Brook Lopez. Joel Embiid would have to play on Brook Lopez.
That's fine.
Off of Lopez.
That's fine with me. I would love to play Giannis on. Or not Giannis, but Brook Lopez and Joel.
All day.
You think Joel's going to get beat by Brook Lopez all day?
No, I'm saying Joel will have to help off to help
I disagree.
on Giannis.
You don't help off with Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez is going to hit so many threes. You got to stick with